Hello, hello, and happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Great News Channel. My name is N10 Fit, otherwise known as the Motivator, and also known as Mar on Facebook. So, for those of you who are following me, this is the second segment of the Great News Channel. What my aim and my goal to do here is to help you end your day with positive, uplifting, and good news. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. I picked out one, two, three, four, five, about six stories that I'm going to share, and then I have some wonderful news at the end. So make sure that you're still here at the end so that you're able to hear the good news. All right. So let's start with the first story. And the first story, which I gathered here through Today News, is a Syrian refugee learning English brings food for his class every week, saying, "This is my dream." This is a story about a man named Hazza Al Abdullah, and his goal, says one of his teachers, is to make the class lively and fun. Right. So every week, people are coming in. They're learning. They're trying to learn English, and this class happens to be in Ohio. And like many other platforms, I think I highlighted the last time I was here. This went viral on TikTok. Where else, right? A lot of people are making headlines on TikTok. So um, Hazza is a 69-year-old Syrian refugee, and by making the class fun, he brings food in for the whole class. And when I watch this video, it's so cool because he's going around and he's got bread, he's got cucumbers, he's got chips, and he's bringing dishes and he's just passing out to everybody, and everybody's so happy. So, what better way than to just switch up the class and think about doing something different for people? He even made a special meal for Veterans Day, which was really cool. So it's really nice, and one person wrote, because they had shared what some people had wrote in the comments from this viral video, saying the biggest hearts. People from other countries understand the meaning of community. Another person wrote, immigrants are the most American people you will ever meet because they still believe in the original dream. And another person wrote, learning English but fluent in community. And I take from the first comment where people from other countries understand the meaning of community. I have a pretty diverse amount of friends. A lot of them are what I would consider be born from another nation outside of us. And you really do see that sense of community, that sense of taking care of your village, taking care of the people around you, even if it's a stranger in the street, like extending your hand trying to help them because they understand the meaning of a village taking care of a village. Whereas here, for whatever reason, there's a certain level of ignorance, and you know what? That person just stay to themselves, and I'm gonna stay to me. You know, um, we need to have that, right? And we need to have more togetherness, more peace, and have more community. This is why I share and highlight these stories, because it is very important for you to understand that there's a good majority of good that's going on in the world. Okay. And that's the whole purpose why I do these segments at night, is for you to end your day on a positive note. Okay. So that's story number one. Okay. Now, story number two, I really love this story because I've seen a video multiple times about it. And video number two is about Kevin Ford. Now, this gentleman worked at Burger King for 27 years. He didn't miss a day of work at all. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You know, didn't miss a day because he was sick. Didn't miss a day because it was snowy or rainy or anything. This guy did not miss a day of work for 27 years at a fast food joint. You know, so they ended up having a crowdfunding of donations done, and they raised about, excuse me, crowdfunding donations raised nearly $450,000 from donors all over after going viral last year. And he was able to buy a home, you know? And it's so cool to be able to see it. He got him in one side. Again, this is from the Today Network. On one side, you got Kevin Ford's photo, and then on the next side is the house that he bought, you know? And imagine this, right? This gentleman inspired folks from all over the world just to be able to donate to him so that he could buy a house. He could be more independent. He doesn't have to rely on paycheck to paycheck or live a certain lifestyle. He's a very humble person. And his video, he posted a video update on December 29th, TikTok and Instagram, uh, giving him details about his house in Nevada. And it's just really cool to see and listen to. I listened to the video, and you can see this certain level of happiness and joy to know that, hey, listen, I worked really hard my whole life, and other people around the world are inspired by it, so much so that they're willing to donate and fund in order for him to have his own place. And he says this: I'm trying to get through without crying, but I wanted to show you something you made possible. I know it's not a mansion, but it's mine. And he ended up in the video, taking viewers kind of in a little video tour through his 3 bedroom, 2 bath house in Nevada. Won't say where in Nevada, but if you want to check out the story, it's really really cool. And he also got gifts from this company called HMS Host. It's a company that Burger King uses to hire people. So they gave him a Starbucks reusable tumbler, a bag of Reese's candies, pens, 2 rolls of lifesavers, and other items. And he sincerely expressed his gratitude in a very humbling way. So I really wanted to share that and highlight that because I think it's important for us to highlight the people that are working hard, right? I believe everybody here who's listening to this or watching this knows somebody, whether it's you or somebody in your life or a coworker or peer that's been working hard, you know, working hard just to make ends meet. We already know that it's difficult here in the States to live, kind of no matter what state that you live in. Inflation and the political climate and all the other stuff that's going on is impacting us big time. Tariffs and all that other stuff. So it doesn't matter where you live, you almost have to earn above 150K just to do pretty decent. And even that is difficult, because not everybody has those means, and cost of living is different everywhere. And you know, speaking of cost of living, I'm going to get into this wonderful story here that I found through the Good News Network. It's a good news. Actually, no, I'm sorry. There's a positive news. I'm sorry. I did get another story from the good news, which I'm going to end with, but this one's from positive.news. And speaking of cost of living and people working hard, I myself, as a creative, um, can say that it speaks true to a starving artist, right? If I were to be an artist full time, there is some truth to that. Initially you starve and you figure it out and you make connections and then eventually you figure it out, right? Whether you get connected with an organization or you end up getting a whole bunch of commissions and then you get recognized and whatever the case may be, right? Well, I came upon this story where in Ireland their basic income for artists actually became permanent, which is super nice. And they highlighted a story about this one of these artists named Eleanor O'Donovan. Pretty Irish name, right? At least the last name. And she was among one of the artists to be accepted into this permanent artist income. Now, offering participants are given a weekly stipend of 325 euro. And they've been helping, the organization is helping over 2,000 artists. Um, Apparently, the Ireland's basic income scheme generated over 100 million in euro in social and economic benefits to Ireland's economy. So in Eleanor's story, it highlighted here in what she had said to Positive News. Before I started receiving it, I was working part time as a receptionist just to be able to afford my rent. I was thinking about moving to a country where I might be able to afford to live a bit cheaper. But now I work full time as an artist. And this opportunity has given me the flexibility that the job of an artist requires and has allowed me to take risks. So she's been able to go into film and able to pay other people to work with her. So it's really good to hear stories like this as well, especially in the creative art world, to know that some opportunities exist, even if that is globally. There are opportunities here in the States, and I know here in New Jersey we have an organization through the New Jersey State Arts Council and other grants and things that are going on for artists, photographers, visual and performing arts, a lot of different people that you could qualify for. So it's it's very very good. Another story is that I want to go to is gonna be on the Today Network. All right, and this is about well, he's now 9 years old, but at 7 years old, this young boy named Prince Wise, such a cool name. I love the name. When I saw the article and I saw the name, I was like, gotta highlight this story. So at 7 years old, he received a new heart. This is on the Today Network, and 2 years later, he made crab cakes to raise money for Make a Wish Foundation. So cool, because it's really nice to know that he refined the way that food tastes, and what initially became part of a fundraiser became something much much bigger than that. So they highlight in this picture um, Prince Wise. He was a 9-year-old heart transplant recipient, and he started brainstorming menu ideas with a chef named Fernando Canales. Um, so he ended up um, learning how to prepare food and sampling spices. Um, by watching his mother, Chantel Hardin. And they're out of Pittsburgh. And Prince's mom ends up saying that she has over 50 spices in her seasoning closet. I don't know about you guys. I would say I have maybe about 25 or 30. So 50 is pretty impressive. But Prince's palate is quite sophisticated and expensive and impressive and fancy. He often asks his mom to make a seafood boil or take him to the sushi bar. So for 9 years old, this kid got some pretty good taste. So apparently in 2021, he developed a serious heart condition. He had to have a stent in the hospital, and he required a heart transplant, which he eventually received. And not a lot of times do people get to receive that. So he ended up passing out on the floor. His eyes rolled to the back of his head. Parents were worried about COVID and all that other stuff, but they came to soon realize that there was something wrong with his heart, and it happened to be that his heart was enlarged. So they used something. The doctors used something called a Berlin heart, which is a machine that helps a child's heart pump when they're in heart failure to steady Prince's condition while he waited for a heart transplant. So fast forward. Um, Fast forward to this. Last year, the Make a Wish of Greater Pennsylvania and West Virginia granted Prince a wish to visit theme parks in Orlando, Florida, and he loved his experience there. And they while they were there, they did receive some um, updates from Make a Wish Foundation. So one of the updates was the family had received an email asking if Prince wanted to be involved in creating a dish to raise money for the local chapter of the nonprofit, and they were super super thrilled. So, and this kid is a foodie. He loves all different kind of things, let alone he wants a seafood boil and a sushi bar quite often. So he thought to himself, you know what, I love lobster and I love crab cakes, so why not make crab cakes? And of course he ended up making crab cakes, and they had a nice fundraiser done. And it seems that so the finished dish ended up being Prince's crab cake sandwich and fries. Comes with two crab cake patties with avocado tartar sauce and fries. And 10% of its profits will benefit Make a Wish Greater Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And it has a picture here of the crab cake sandwich. It's really, really cool. And I thought it was dope to be able to highlight this story. Now, I got two more stories that I want to highlight. I know we're coming up on time, but I'm trying to keep it. I still like sharing with you guys. So, this story is also through the Today Network, and it's an 81-year-old waitress says she couldn't retire, so a stranger raised over 300,000 for her. This Miss Betty here it says, I'm 81. I can still outdo all these whippersnappers. You can tell she's probably from the South. It says, I worked all my life as a waitress and I can't retire. Imagine that, right? I don't know about you guys, but a few times I've gone to diners, um, or even some retail stores, you see a lot of older people working. What does that tell you? It tells you that living in America is like you have to work to live, you know? The American dream is not necessarily that, right? It, you dream of this white picket fence in this life, and everybody's life is different, but nobody at 81 should be working. Like, once you pass a certain age of like either a certain age or retired, like you should be able to retire. You should be able to retire, I say, by like 55. Everybody should be able to retire by that time. You shouldn't have to. It's actually sickening to think that people should still have to work at 65, 67, 70, 75, 81, 90, 95. Like, nobody should work unless they really want to work, but they shouldn't have to work. So, um, this young lady, Tammy Conzier, set out a goal to be able to help this 81-year-old waitress, Betty, retire. And sure enough, she did that. Tammy herself is a esthetician and a TikToker. TikTok. TikToker. Yeah. Okay. Kind of threw me off for a second. And, she ended up grabbing a bite with her son at a local restaurant, local diner called Eaton Park. And she was greeted by this friendly server, Betty, who was struggling to get around. And then, you know, I guess she overheard Betty talking, and she was saying she was really struggling. She had chronic back pain, but she needed the job because her $910 a month, which is astronomical, $910 Social Security payout was not nearly enough to cover her bills. I mean, $910 is could barely buy you a few meals and rent, you know? So her goal, Tammy here, was to make one video that went viral and let this be the one. And sure enough, this video went viral. She had over 1.8 million likes. It was shared over 78,000 times, almost 79,000 times. And she put in the video that she was going to empty her wallet. She has $40 in her purse, and she was leaving that for tip, you know. Um, and she wrote some other stuff, you know. Betty was touched, saying, "I worked all my life as a waitress. I can't retire. You know, I'm 81, but I could still outdo all these people." So, when Tammy and her son left, Betty had said, "Take care and enjoy life because it'll go by you fast." I know as a parent, my kids are growing up super fast, faster than I believed was fast, you know. And so in this story, people are asking Tammy, "Hey, can I Cash App you? Can I Venmo you?" You know, and she's like, "Yeah, I could do that. I mean, trust me. If you trust me, you could do that." So people were just pouring in, pouring and pouring and pouring money. And sure enough, eventually over time, um, initially the GoFundMe that she had did raise 110,000, and she had $3,200 through Venmo donations. Now, shortly after that, tally had grown to 140K, and Tammy had went to Betty and let her know what she's been doing. And Betty was like, "I think I better get a financial advisor. You're God." And eventually, down the line, the big number that she ended up on April 2nd raising was $39.18. Betty was so blessed because now she had that money and she could retire. So it's really a blessing to be able to highlight these stories and tell you all about it. Super super blessing. Now I wanted to end this news story with a child story, a parent story, because me as a parent, I love being able to be kind of a kid again as an adult. And whenever I could share stories, it really hits my heart. So this story here is through the Good News Network, and it is about an 8-year-old Maryland girl who becomes the youngest Grammy winner ever with a Daddy Daughter album. Now, her dad happens to be a well-known artist, and his name is, and I might chop this up, but his name is Fayuch. Fayuch. It's Fayutch, and this year she ended up making history with an album that is for the best children's music album for their LP called Harmony. And she and her father recorded it, and she becomes the youngest child in Grammy winner history to win because she actually eclipsed Blue Ivy, who won an award at 9 years old. And her father had shared some stories about joining a band as a teenager and after college working as an art teacher. But one day he got very frustrated with the lack of educational music for his students, and they ended up doing videos together. And like everything else that I've been sharing, it went viral. And soon after, um, he it ended up like talking about the family and how it came from a family of musicians. His daughter's great grandfather played the trumpet in the army band. Grandfather played sax and even contributed to talents to the album. So it was really cool to be able to share it. And they actually have a video on here if you choose to watch it. If you go to Good News Network and you look up 8-year-old Maryland girl becomes youngest Grammy winner ever with Daddy Daughter album collaboration, it's got their video up for the song Harmony. And it's super cute because they're both dressed up in matching green leaf outfits and just really, really dope. So his daughter actually bursted onto the scene down in 2017, and yeah, that's all she wrote. So you want to be looking out for Aura and her dad, Fiuch, in the art world. I think it's great to be able to end the Great News Network channel news tonight for you guys with that. Now, the last thing I wanted to share and the good news is for all my Facebook followers and supporters, I sincerely appreciate y'all. I really, really do. My aim is to post positive, uplifting, joyful, and thought-provoking posts. It's super important for me, and that's really what warms my heart to know that I could connect with my community, connect with my audience. I don't want to just collect followers. I want to create posts that um, stimulate conversations. Because we need that human connection. We need that connection to happen. So without further ado, the big surprise at the end here is that I finally reached 5K followers. On the road to 10K, and then eventually 15, 20, and so on and so forth. So I'm very, very happy for reaching 5K followers. I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to everybody, especially some of my followers that engage a lot with me. I got Minnie, Hope, Jay, Eli, and a few others. I'm very, very appreciative for y'all for continuing to engage and support. And if I missed anybody, please forgive me. There's a lot of names to remember, but those are the ones that stick out. So I appreciate you guys coming in today and checking out this second segment of the Great News Channel. I plan to continue next week with the same episode, with another episode at 8 p.m. I think I'm going to keep it at the 8 p.m. mark since it seems like it works for most people. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, blessed night. Please have a great week ahead and please go out there, practice kindness, practice peace, deliver kindness and joy, and most importantly, deliver with a smile. Peace and love. And of course, I got to figure out how I end this. I can never figure it out. It's really, really funny. I can never figure it out. Oh, here we go. All right, everybody. Have a blessed night. Finally figured out how to end it.